Imagine a home so picturesque that it feels like a dream, yet behind its walls lies a nightmare so horrifying that it defies all logic. This is the story of the Amityville murder house, where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs, and terror reigns supreme. What happened inside 112 Ocean Avenue will chill you to your core. The year was 1974, and the DeFeo family seemed like an ordinary middle-class family living in a quiet Long Island suburb. But behind the picture-perfect facade was a troubled household rife with tension. Ronald "Butch" DeFeo Jr., the eldest son, had a strained relationship with his father, Ronald Sr., a man known for his temper and domineering nature. Family disputes often escalated to violent altercations, leaving an undercurrent of fear and resentment in the home. On November 13, 1974, the simmering tension exploded into an unspeakable act. Ronald Jr., armed with a .35 caliber Marlin rifle, moved methodically through the house in the dead of night. He started with his parents, shooting them as they slept in their bed. Then, one by one, he entered the rooms of his siblings, 18-year-old Dawn, 13-year-old Allison, 12-year-old Mark, and 9-year-old John Matthew. Each was shot at point-blank range, unable to escape the horror. The most baffling aspect of the murders was the eerie silence. Despite the rifle being deafeningly loud, none of the neighbors reported hearing gunshots. Even more perplexing, none of the victims appeared to have woken up or attempted to flee. It was as if a supernatural force had immobilized them, ensuring Ronald Jr. could carry out his horrifying mission without interference. When questioned, Ronald Jr.'s story shifted multiple times. At first, he claimed the murders were the result of a mob hit. Later, he admitted to committing the crime but insisted that voices in his head compelled him to kill. He described these voices as dark, commanding, and inescapable, as though the house itself was whispering sinister commands into his ears. As the gruesome details emerged, the DeFeo murders captivated the nation. The trial that followed painted Ronald Jr. as a deeply disturbed individual, but it also raised questions about the house. Was the horror that unfolded within its walls merely the result of a broken mind, or was there something far more sinister at play? By the time the Lutz family moved into the house in December 1975, the property's macabre history had already made it infamous. Yet, George and Kathy Lutz believed they could turn it into a home for their family. They were aware of the murders but saw the discounted price as an opportunity too good to pass up. The real estate agent warned them of the house's past, but they dismissed it, confident that their faith and resilience would shield them from any lingering darkness. From the very first day, strange events began to unsettle the family. A priest, Father Ray, was called to bless the house, but his visit was cut short when he heard a disembodied voice commanding him to leave. The voice wasn't pleading or shouting, it was a low, guttural growl, filled with menace. The priest also experienced physical sensations, a slap across his face and a sudden fever that left him weak and disoriented. He later warned the Lutz family that the house was plagued by a malevolent force. Despite the priest's warnings, the Lutzes stayed. Soon, their idyllic new home became a prison of terror. Unexplainable phenomena disrupted their daily lives, doors opening and slamming shut on their own, strange odors wafting through the rooms, and icy cold spots that left them shivering even with the heat on. George Lutz, a pragmatic and skeptical man, became the most affected. He developed a strange obsession with the house's basement, spending hours there in a trance-like state. He began waking up at precisely 3:15 a.m. each night, the exact time of the DeFeo murders. These nightly awakenings were accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread, as if something unseen was watching him. Kathy, too, experienced chilling encounters. On one occasion, she felt unseen hands gripping her as she slept, leaving bruises on her arms. She often woke to find herself levitating above her bed, paralyzed by fear. Their children, particularly their youngest, Missy, became withdrawn and frightened. Missy began speaking to an invisible friend she called Jody, a demonic pig-like entity with glowing red eyes. The family's dog, Harry, also seemed aware of the house's dark presence. He refused to go near the basement and barked furiously at empty spaces, his hackles raised. The oppressive atmosphere grew heavier with each passing day, driving the family to the brink of collapse. The house's grip on the Lutz family deepened with every passing night. George, once a loving and rational father, became irritable and aggressive. He claimed to hear phantom footsteps echoing through the halls and whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. At times, George felt an invisible force compelling him to violent thoughts. The lines between reality and hallucination blurred, leaving him questioning his sanity. The turning point came when Kathy discovered the infamous Red Room. This small, hidden space in the basement wasn't included in the house's blueprints. The walls were painted a dark, blood-red color, and the room exuded a suffocating energy. George and Kathy were convinced that the room was a focal point for the evil in the house, a place where dark rituals may have once been performed. Desperate for answers, George delved into the house's history and uncovered disturbing revelations. The land on which the house was built had once belonged to John Ketchum, a notorious figure accused of practicing black magic and conducting ritual sacrifices. Some even claimed that the property was cursed, a gateway to a malevolent dimension that allowed dark entities to cross into the mortal world. As the days turned into weeks, the Lutzes endured increasingly violent manifestations. Heavy furniture moved on its own, shadowy figures lurked in the corners of their vision, and a swarm of flies inexplicably appeared in a bedroom, despite the cold winter weather. Kathy's face transformed in the mirror, aging decades in an instant, only to revert moments later. On their final night in the house, the terror reached a fever pitch. The walls seemed to vibrate with an unholy energy, and the air grew thick with the smell of decay. George and Kathy awoke to find their children screaming in their beds, their room bathed in an unnatural red light. Doors slammed shut, locking the family inside, while a chorus of ghostly voices filled the house with a deafening roar. The Lutz family fled in the dead of night, leaving behind all their belongings. They vowed never to return, convinced that the house was a malevolent force beyond human comprehension. The aftermath of their ordeal sparked a media sensation. Their story was immortalized in Jay Anson's book, The Amityville Horror, and adapted into numerous films and documentaries. Paranormal investigators flocked to the house, many reporting strange phenomena, though skeptics dismissed the claims as fabrications. To this day, the Amityville house remains an enduring mystery. Its quarter-moon windows, once a symbol of charm, now evoke dread. Whether the events were the result of a hoax, a disturbed mind, or something truly supernatural, the story of 112 Ocean Avenue continues to haunt the imagination. The Amityville murder house stands as a chilling reminder of the thin veil separating our world from the unknown. Its legacy continues to provoke fear, debate, and fascination, leaving us with more questions than answers. Was it the site of unspeakable supernatural evil, or were the events a manifestation of psychological trauma and hysteria? Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the stories that emerged from 112 Ocean Avenue have etched themselves into the fabric of horror folklore, captivating the imagination of millions worldwide. As we close the chapter on the Amityville saga, the house still sits quietly in Amityville, its dark history hidden behind a facade of suburban normalcy. But for those who believe, the echoes of the past may still linger within its walls, whispering, waiting, and watching. The story of the Amityville house is a warning, a tale of how darkness, whether from the supernatural or from the depths of the human soul, can leave scars that never truly fade. So, the next time you walk past an innocent-looking home in a quiet neighborhood, remember, some houses are far more than just bricks and wood. Some houses carry stories that refuse to be silenced. If this story sent shivers down your spine and kept you on the edge of your seat, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us uncover more bone-chilling tales and bring them to life just for you. Don't keep the scares to yourself, share this video with your friends and family who love a good thrill. And if you're hungry for more haunting stories and mysterious encounters, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Here on Thrilling Nightmares, we explore the darkest corners of the world, so you don't want to miss a single spine-tingling tale. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next nightmare.